So, if you aren't a Pokemon fan or someone who has watched these specific Toadsmoothie videos, you're probably wondering what in the world a Nuzlocke is. If you are a Pokemon fan or someone who has watched those specific Toadsmoothie videos, stick around. I've done things a little differently. So, a Nuzlocke is a fan-made Pokemon game mode where you're restricted by two important rules. Number one, any Pokemon that faints at any point in the run is considered dead and can never be used again. And number two, only the first wild Pokemon encountered in a route or area can be caught. Now I know what you're thinking. What in the world does that mean for us? Because Pokemon and Destiny, not that similar, right? Well, you're typically right. There isn't much overlap between the Monster Battler Pokemon games and the Looter Shooter Destiny games, in terms of gameplay mechanics. But there are two important similarities. One, we can collect our own equipment, and two, we can die. But with all the differences in other mechanics, Nuzlocke rules need to look a little different for Destiny players. Luckily for us, Destiny YouTuber Toadsmoothie has come up with a few rules for how this can run. First off, there is a 6-hour prep time to collect weapons. Second, all weapons equipped at the time of death must be dismantled. 3, if all weapons are destroyed, you lose. And 4, there is a shiny clause, much like normal Nuzlockes, where random drop exotics are fair game. And 5, the first legendary weapon in each mission is fair collectible game. And I mean seriously, if you haven't seen those Toadsmoothie videos, feel free to go watch those after we're done here. They're works of art. The problem is Toadsmoothie designed these rules for Destiny 2. And this isn't Destiny 2. It's the original Destiny. So there are a few key differences we need to account for. Number 1, there's a lot more campaign missions in Destiny 1. Where modern campaigns usually have 8 missions to deal with, the vanilla D1 campaign has 20 missions that are replayable. The issue here is that we could potentially trivialize every run if we kept the first weapon in every mission being fair game. But there's a counterpoint to that. Play Destiny 1 for like an hour. See if you get more than 2 random weapon drops, because if you do, your RNG is a lot better than mine. So I felt that, this rule wouldn't really be an issue because there was no way in hell that every single mission was going to drop 1 weapon. Point 2. About halfway through the campaign, I came to a realization. The vanilla campaign in Destiny 1 is like stupid easy. It's been power crept to all hell. I did solve this in a particularly simple way though. Do it twice. Once in the normal difficulty and then again on the hard difficulty. Surprisingly, this didn't take that long, but it did add some of that challenge I felt was missing. So now, let's get into the run. First up was the 6-hour prep time. I faced 2 issues here. 1, I was not sure what to do for 6 hours, because I am playing this on an Xbox, and I'm not paying for Xbox Ultimate just to do strikes in Crucible. So I could not do those, and thus could not get any of that loot. And secondly, I didn't want to just get bored by sitting in the same place for 6 hours. So my solution was to spend an hour in every patrol zone, working my way up from the lowest leveled one, the Cosmodrome, to the highest level one, the Dreadnought. Now, those of you who are familiar with Destiny 1 might be going, but wait, isn't the Plaguelands the highest leveled patrol zone? The answer to your question is yes, it is, but I've never finished Rise of Iron, so sucks to suck, but I can't go there. Hour 1 was thus spent in the Cosmodrome patrol area, and it kind of set the standard for how I was going to approach the other patrol zones. First up was just kind of exploring, basically. It's been years since I played Destiny 1, so I just took the time to wander around and take in the sights. And it's here I kind of figured out the most successful way to get loot, which was a combination of doing public events and those take-in infestation things that just kind of randomly spawn. Both of them would happen to me one after the other in the Divide area, and afterwards I would continue my little trek around the Cosmodrome. I visit the old loot cave, disturb the remains, before kind of just gradually making my way to the Forgotten Shore. I did a number of patrols in the hopes that they would give me loot. They don't. And then I managed to get this mystery patrol, which I hate to admit took a lot longer than I wanted it to, and did require Google. But we finish off the first hour with another take-in infestation, and head to the moon for hour 2. Again, we take a little trip around, picking up the occasional patrol while I'm sightseeing. Finally, in the Hellmouth, we get another public event, and after a little while longer, I get bored of sightseeing, and not having had an interesting patrol in a while, I decided the smartest thing I could do is look up one of those old chest run videos where someone takes you around this route they planned in a patrol area to just look for chests. And I do that route for a few minutes. It's not the most profitable thing in the world, so I get bored quickly and leave for the Hellmouth. When there's about 15 minutes left, an hour or two, I go back to it, and it seems maybe I was just unlucky the first time, because once I'm doing the cycle again, I'm finding chests a little more consistently. By the end of hour 2, I've cycled through it a few times, and I decide to end it out with one last patrol, which has me taking down a lot of Taken before confronting a boss in the Shrine of Oryx. For hour 3, we're off to Venus. By this point, I was really feeling those old loot guide videos, and I found one that claimed to be Loot Cave version 8, so I had to go give it a go for a while. I sat in this area of the academy, this common area, for a while, just kind of roaming around looking for chests when there weren't any enemies, picking up spirit blooms, picking up the occasional patrol. A Taken infestation spawns, and this blueberry shows up, and together we take on the boss. It goes down, and I spend a few more minutes cleaning up the area before calling it good enough, and head out to do some more sightseeing. Venus was never really my favorite location in D1, mostly because it's a lot of Vex. I just didn't care about the Vex. I tried to stop at the Vault of Glass for a little while, but it won't let me in. So I just kind of continue on my way, gradually taking down Vex and Fallen, just coming across them, just kind of refamiliarizing myself with the area. Gradually making my way through these caves, I kind of paused for a moment, taking this view of the Ketch, just parked on the planet's surface. And I wonder what happened to my pirate ship from Season of Plunder. I miss my pirate ship. I end this hour doing some more patrols, and managed to make my way right back to where I started, spending the last few minutes cleaning up again. Hour 4 sees us step into a war with the Cabal on Mars, taking 2 different Taken infestations right off the bat. The first one ends before I can summon the boss, but the second one ends before I can finish off the boss. I then take some time to just explore Mars, roaming through the Cabal base, running into another Taken infestation, which also goes badly. So I head off to keep exploring before running into a pack of Fallen from the House of Wolves. They're dealt with easily enough, and I continue my meandering through the desert wastes. Eventually, I venture into the buried city of Freehold, doing my very best to apparently waste time in this elevator shaft, and just exploring the ruins of the city. I run into yet another Taken infestation, and this blueberry and I take it down with ease. The last 20 minutes or so is just kind of putzing around the city, taking down Cabal, doing patrols, and thinking negative thoughts about Clovis Bray. Eventually I wander back out to the Cabal firebase, think some negative thoughts about the Vox Obscura mission, and dance my way into hour 5. And now we're on to one of my favorite locations in the game, the Dreadnought. I love this place, it's just so cool. I spend a while trying to open this chest in the middle of all this Taken blight, eventually finding a way to cheese it, and head out into the wider Dreadnought. I end up back in the landing zone, just looking for some events to do, because I know there's at least one summonable event in the area, and I just couldn't remember how to do it. Eventually, though, I do find the dang Wormsinger rune thingy, which summons a bunch of Hive to be annoying, and the Ogre boss then drops a Wormfeeder rune, which I know also does something. Eventually, though, it progresses and just drops a Key of Gnashing Teeth, which I insert into the relevant chest for loot. Doing so took me to one of my favorite activities, the Court of Oryx. I stay here for a while, just kind of like taking it in, putting in some runes, having a good time. Blueberry joins me for a while, we do a couple rounds together, but eventually we both head off and I discover how to do that chest thing from earlier by accident, before I return to the Court of Oryx for some more mindless grinding. Finally, tiring of the court, I head off to do some sightseeing, looping my way through the halls of the Dreadnought and the crashed Cabal ship. Eventually, I return to the landing zone and just kind of bounce around, dealing with Cabal and Hive for the last few minutes. Hour 6 left me with a dilemma. I did not know what to do next, as there were no other patrol zones, and I did not have access to the Crucible or Strikes. So I decided to actually do Rise of Iron, now that I finally had access to it, because I originally played on Xbox 360, which never got Rise of Iron, and now that I have a newer Xbox, I can play Rise of Iron, now that I bought the entire game again. So I bounced through a couple of missions, exploring the Plaguelands, doing a bunch of Siva stuff. I do eventually progress far enough to gain access to the Plaguelands patrol zone, and I end the hour there, doing a public event, just kind of peeking around in the first area. And then it's over. It's about time to head into the Nuzlocke proper, So let's take a look at what we've got right off the bat. We've got 8 primary weapons, 8 energy weapons, and 8 heavy weapons. So, if nothing changes, I have exactly 8 lives to beat Destiny 1's vanilla campaign, on both easy and hard. So we begin with the first mission, which is technically mission 2 because you can't replay the actual first mission. We're off to find a warp drive which would allow us to jump to any planet or moon, so we head back to the location where we first found our ship, taking care of some Fallen along the way. Fortunately, we do find a warp drive there. Unfortunately, the Fallen got their hands on it first. So when this Devil Archon appears from the wall, and I completely whiff my Nova Bomb, I take a few quick shots to take care of him, and we end mission 1. Ghost acts like this is an accomplishment, and I briefly consider doing something incredibly funny before the timer boots me out of the mission. Mission 2, The Dark Within, is our first encounter with the Hive. I don't think I'm supposed to have my Sparrow yet, but I don't really let that bother me, because walking takes forever in this game. We break into Skywatch. I stare awkwardly at the wall that now hides the Risk Runner thing in Destiny 2, and accidentally release the Hive that the Fallen were doing a surprisingly good job of keeping at bay. We run into a wizard, demonstrating how easy it is to just clown on one, which makes me think negative thoughts about Shah Han, and then end Mission 2. Mission 3, The War Mind, our first ever interaction with good old Rasputin. I miss that guy sometimes. We zip over to the Forgotten Shore, hijack some radio broadcast thingies from the Fallen, and once again invade Skywatch, kinda just for the hell of it. Clear out a fair amount of Fallen from the radio machine thing, which Ghost wants to take a look at. So I pull on all of those times I've pulled on my experience in Vanilla Destiny 1, and guard Ghost for 3 waves of enemies, to discover that Rasputin is still alive and kicking, or at least as much as a computer AI program can be alive and kicking. And then I almost accidentally blow myself up by being silly while trying to destroy this machinery, and then we're off to Mission 4. Mission 4 is one of my favorite missions in the whole campaign. The objective of this mission is literally so good that they had to reuse it in the Destiny 2 new player experience. We're off going to work and open up this old satellite array thingy, which would apparently allow us better communications with other pre-collapse outposts in the systems. But like how? This is in old Russia, right? The last city is not, as far as we know. And it's not like we have anyone stationed here to take care of the communications array, so I'm a little lost on how this would actually function. But the sight of it opening is fucking sick. And that's what really matters. No notes, 10 out of 10. Mission 5 takes us to the moon. Bad news, moon's haunted. Good news, I have a gun. And so I utilize this gun to deal with the Fallen, following the trail of a missing Guardian, and I spend most of that time trying to remember the names of all the Fallen houses. I think I got, like, 8. Name your favorite Fallen house in the comments, right now. Do it. Do it. I need to know. Mine's House Light, because I love Mithrax, he's my best friend. Though Big Guy needs some help right now. Back to what we were actually doing, the Guardian is dead, and I face one of my biggest fears, a woman. And then we've woken the Hive.
We've woken the Hive.
We save the missing ghost, and by save I mean recover the dead body, though we do just leave the Guardian's dead body laying there. Like, no one bothers to ever move it. Mission's over. Mission 6, Breaking and Entering. Our goal is to break into a library in the Hive, Hellmouth place, so that we can steal all their information. We check into the fortress, being a general nuisance, also known as a murder hobo, while I whiff yet another Nova Bomb, and come much closer to dying than I generally feel comfortable with, especially considering the fact that I have yet to receive a single new weapon. Add this to the list of reasons why I hate Shriekers. We bonk this night, and head deeper into the fortress in search of the world's grave, which I must say is an absolutely sick-ass name for a library. We should call more libraries absolutely baller shit like this. Right? Okay. Petition to rename my local public library to the heat death of the universe is in the description below. We break into the library console, and I defend against 3 waves of enemies. Surely that won't be a reoccurring design theme. Ghost says some stuff I don't understand, so I looked it up. And this is what the Bekenstein limit is, and clearly it was a popular question a few years back. Mission 7, I'm off to destroy a sword, which is silly because we could have just yoinked the sword. I like yoinking things. I get lost for a while because I don't know how to read a simple direction marker, but eventually I do find the guy I'm supposed to be here to kill, do the kill, and head deeper into the Hellmouth. I do yoink the sword momentarily, and begin systematically committing crimes against the Hive before the sword just evaporates, because that's how swords work. Damn it. Then we're on to mission 8, where the speaker speaks for a while, but I ignore him, so I don't remember what's going on. Ghost then tells me he wants to scan some cracks, and well, I didn't know he was freaky like that. Let it never be said that I'm not a good wingman. Ghost scans 2 cracks, and then we head off to infiltrate the Temple of Crota once more, searching for some wizards doing freaky wizard shit. At this point, I will not lie to you. I am supremely confident. I'm playing like I'm invincible. I'm doing tricks on my sparrow. I'm playing real silly and aggressive, all because I have not died yet, and it's already mission 8. I'm practically halfway done, and absolutely nothing has gone wrong. And, honestly, with how difficult the missions have been, I don't expect it to. Which is why my first death coming from just speeding off a cliff on my sparrow and not being able to jump enough to recover was a painful blow, to say the least. And then we dive deeper into the Temple of Crota. We come to the ritual site, and I defend against 3 waves of enemies, to find out the Hive have somehow yoinked a shard of the Traveler, and we're doing some weird freaky shit to it. We put an end to that, and head into mission 9. Osiris talks again, saying negative things about the Shrine of Oryx, so my ghost here decides that this is now an issue for us. We stumble on some Fallen who seem to have had the exact same thought, and I'm all for leaving them to deal with it. However, my ghost tells me that their leader is here, and I must murder him. Which, I guess, dude. We dive deeper, taking care of the Hive we come across, and eventually make our way into the Shrine of Oryx. This big guy shows up, upset that I have now routinely broken into their home, stolen information, killed his people, and now plan on blowing up their religious artifact and sacred area. This clearly makes him the bad guy, so I hit him with a "Hollow Purple," and kaboom the shrine. We've just passed the halfway mark here as we head into mission 10, and finally, we're off to Venus. I'm gonna be real with you, much of this is not interesting. As I said earlier, the vanilla campaign is pretty easy, so much of it is just easy normal gameplay, so I'm only going to endeavor to show you the interesting stuff. That being said, I immediately get caught in a taken infestation, and instead of doing the mission I'm supposed to be working on, I work with these blueberries to take the boss down, and get a boring rune for the reward. Yay. I then head into the Ishtar Academy, clear some Vex, and meet the Exo-Stranger properly. She says the funny line,
I don't even have time to explain why I don't have time to explain,
and tells me I have to go spend more time dealing with the Vex. I clown on my ghost.
No, little light.
Don't do that.
And then receive the horrible news that I cannot go see I mean Marasov, because those cutscene missions with the Awoken are not replayable. Karma sucks. I'm sorry, Ghost. Then we're off to learn about Gate Lords in Mission 11, which goes smoothly. Literally no issues. Mission 12 is similar, breaking into the Academy again to save some information from the Fallen, which 900% behind, by the way. I need more missions that involve diving into Golden Age ruins to recover knowledge or artifacts or other cool shit. Bungie, please. Mission 13 has us committing assassination against the Kell of House Winter, which goes well enough. I try to sit in his throne for a while, but I'm not able to get a good angle before the mission kicks me out, and then we're off to Mission 14. We're on the hunt for a Gate Lord head here, and we get it immediately. So we're off to Mars to ruin the days of both the Cabal and Vex, because I have not been annoying enough recently. And ruin I do, sprinting through this mission like it's the opening section of the Vox Obscura mission, and clear Cabal in a few areas until I've got the necessary things to yoink some info on the Black Garden. Mission 16 has us diving into the city of Freehold, where I attempt to do both a public event and a taken infestation, hoping to get some loot to offset the complete lack of drops so far. However, this was finally a very bad idea. And at this point, the enemies have progressed, where they are somehow a threat if I don't play intelligently. And, as we all know, intelligence is not my strong suit. So I end up dying before deciding to continue on with the rest of the mission, rather than risk any other weapons to absolutely pointless and needless deaths. The rest of the mission is cleared with no issues. Mission 17 has us yet again bothering the Cabal, this time by breaking into their firebase, so we can access a spire that will allow us to charge the Gate Lord's eyeball. We invade the base. I play a little too aggressively and get next up to these 3 phalanxes, and they send my soul straight to the Architects. We then successfully break in, and I try to pull a cheeky maneuver to skip a large portion of the mission, which immediately leads to Death 4 because I am surrounded and overwhelmed when everything just spawns in. It resets me as it was a darkness zone, so I zip through it properly, playing from a distance, staying alive, and then just immediately clowning the boss. Mission 18 has us stopping a Vex invasion on the surface of Mars, so we storm an old subway station and eliminate Vex until there are none to eliminate. Easy mission, no notes. And then we're on to the last mission, storming the Black Garden. Absolutely nothing interesting happens, and before we know it, it's the boss fight. The large Vex fall one after another, and the Blackheart dies. The world is now safe, but that was boringly easy, so let's rewind, do the whole thing again. I quickly head to the tower to decode the few weapon engrams I received, and managed to see my first good RNG in the last 7 months. Nemesis Star, an exotic machine gun, drops from a legendary engram I was decrypting. But then we're running back through the campaign a second time, this time on the hard difficulty for each level. I'm not going to rehash everything because the early missions all run mostly the same, but it is relevant to Mission 2 does not have a hard version, so we start the second run on Mission 3. At the start, we now have 5 primary weapons, 5 special weapons, and 6 heavy weapons, meaning we've got at least 5 full lives and 1 very bizarre one, assuming nothing drops between here and the end, which, based on my loot drops so far, is not a horrible assumption. The next exciting moment happens in Mission 5, where we're once again working to restore the old communications array. I managed to walk in at the tail end of a public event in the area, and not having learned anything at all, I am immediately turned into mincemeat by the enemies here. At some point, I will need to learn that this is not something I need to do when I'm in the middle of a challenge run. But from there, it's business as usual, all the way up to Mission 12, when we're searching for more information on the Vex from an old Ishtar research station. This one did not go well, because first I am cross-mapped by this Vandal, and then I pick up another death by being just close enough to death and physically close enough to this Minotaur that my own grenade kills me while I'm attempting to take it down. After that, it's smooth sailing to Mission 15, where, in the midst of summoning the Gate Lord to take him down, I get overconfident, and not remembering that I'm playing Destiny 1, and thus have none of the healing options I'm used to with Void Warlock, I eventually fold like freshly dried laundry. I'm gonna be real with you, we're not doing too hot. We're down to 3 primaries, 2 specials, and a very confusing 7 heavy weapons. Why did they keep dropping? But after that, I do finish Mission 15 with no other deaths, and we head to Mars to start the final stretch of the campaign. It takes some time, but eventually we make it back to the very final mission of the vanilla campaign, the Black Garden. I zip across Mars's red sands, heading for the portal into the garden. The defenders are eliminated with ease, especially as I try out this new exotic machine gun for the first time. Ghost and I progress through the Vex architecture, clearing them out with little intelligent play, probably my first intelligent playing of the whole run. But we break through the final door, and suddenly we're face to face with the Black Heart and its last defenders. Ghost asks me a silly question.
So, think you can kill a god?
Don't think I have a choice.
And the final battle begins. With a lot of dodging, I lean heavily on my only legendary special weapon, a fusion rifle, and the exotic machine gun that randomly dropped. The first 2 bosses go down with ease, and finally, not whiffing a Nova Bomb for once, puts me into a good position for the last one. A lucky drop of special ammo when I'm almost at my end gives me just enough juice to push it over the edge, and then we're done. The heart at the center of the Black Garden is dead, and the Traveler is safe, and finally able to begin healing. We managed to complete the Destiny 1 vanilla campaign on both easy and hard, with 4 primaries, 2 specials, and 7 heavy weapons left over, successfully completing this Destiny 1 Nuzlocke. And that, folks, is all. If you enjoyed the run and want to see more like it, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll be back again next week at 4:30 Central Standard Time with a new challenge run. And let me know what you think. Can I make this harder? Should I attempt a Kaizo Ironmon in Destiny 1 or Destiny 2? But, until next time I see ya, have a good one.